Hello and welcome to the Knuckles / and Tails bad ending tutorial. We're coming back. It's been a little while since I filmed. I've not had internet for a while. We're going to be looking at Carnival Night Zone. Act 1 first and then Act 2. Both of these stages are the same depending on whether you're solo Knuckles or Knuckles and Tails, so it doesn't really matter which one. There's no specific strats either way. So let's just get right into it. So immediately when you start the level, you're going to hold right. Just because it's faster than stopping to spin dash. And then when you get to this like elevator thing here, you need to jump up into it. That'll go faster. There is like an I.R strat that I kind of worked out. I don't think anyone's done it in a run yet. But you can glide into it as well. And then you can land on the other end and get a spin dash. But that's kind of like an I.R strat. I wouldn't do that in a normal run. So for now you're just going to jump into the tunnel and you're going to hold right. And then we'll talk about what happens next. I missed the jump. Amazing. Great start to this tutorial. Like that. So then you're going to hold right and you're going to basically jump over an enemy, and then there's going to be like a spring and you want to basically get back into the spring. So the best way to do that is to glide into it and then let go of left. So you're going right and then start holding right. So just like that. So along this section here, you're going to need to slow down at some point. You'll see when I do it, and basically just try and copy that, because otherwise there's a ramp coming up, and if you go at it too fast, I don't know if it's subpixels, or I don't know if you're just hitting the ramp too quickly, but basically you just hit the ramp and then get stuck. So if you slow down a little bit, that stops that from happening every single time. You can also go fast enough that it doesn't happen, but then you kind of clip into the ceiling above, and it just slows you down, so the most optimal way is to slow down a little bit. So you'll see there's a point just before the path you're on drops down, and you just want to tap left there to lose a bit of speed. So and tap left. Oh, I didn't actually tap left, but we're fine. We already lost speed, so that's okay. But where I said tap left, that's where you should tap left. Okay, so here you're going to get onto this spinny, like, circle thing, and you basically just want to jump across from one to the other as quick as possible. So just hold right the whole way. Now here you've got a block that you want to break, and in order to do that, you have to be rolling and moving across it. So what you want to try and do, and it's kind of tricky, it doesn't matter if you don't get it straight away, what you kind of want to try and do is to roll over the top of it with just the smallest amount of speed possible so you drop straight down. I'm really bad at this, so I probably won't make it, but I'm going to go link and IL, probably either Flying Foxes or, who's the other person who did it? J-Pin, of course. Either Flying Foxes or J-Pin's ILs of this, so that you can see what you're supposed to do here. So basically like that. And then I usually glide down if I don't get the optimal strat, so that I can land in the glide landing animation to get an instant spin dash. So here there's two options of what you can do. One's kind of trickier, and it's more of an IL strat. The other one's just what I do. I think for a beginner, what I do is safer, but it's obviously slightly slower. So you're going to spin dash, you're going to get to the ramp, and you're going to jump off the ramp like you normally would to get into your running animation and gain a bit of speed off of ramps. And then there's going to be a wheel. Now, for whatever reason in this game versus the vanilla game, the wheel spins backwards. So instead of taking you around the outside of the wheel, it's going to take you in on the inside. So if you're on the wheel, you just basically let it bring you down and then glide off and then land at the bottom. That's like a fast way through, and then you spin dash from there. The other strat is to jump over the wheel entirely, glide across to the spring on the other side, and then climb up and hit the spring, which gives you a lot more speed, but it also makes the next jump harder, and it does give you access to like an IL strat where you jump over this whole section of spikes that you're going to see. But the problem is in a full game run is that if you don't get the angle perfect, and it's a really tight angle, if you don't get it perfect, you can get crushed by the barrel like straight away, and you know that obviously loses a bunch of time, especially if you don't hit this checkpoint for whatever reason. So I would recommend doing it my way, just because I think it's easier. If you do take the other way, you can glide across still. It's not much faster at that point, and it's still harder. So it's down to you whichever method you want to do. I've got the checkpoints, so I'll show you both. So this is my way. Or you can do it this way as well. I did a reset act. It's fine, we'll just get back there. We're getting a lot of review of everything that comes first in the level. I can show off that tap left. There we go, straight up here. That's the drop down you're supposed to get. You can also do it like this, slightly faster than gliding all the way. And And then the other strat is like this. Okay, that was bad. You can tell I haven't done this strat very much. So up here... So you can grab onto the wall there. The issue is if you don't realise that you've failed the jump to get all the way across, then you can, if you don't like realise it in time and glide, you'll fall into that gap where that barrel is and you'll die. But that's also an option. It's slightly harder, but slightly faster. So from here you're just going to spin dash across, and then you're going to get to an enemy, like a blue springy guy. And if you glide across the top of the enemy, he sends you flying off to the right, which is what we want to do. It gets you there a bit faster. So let's try that. Just like that. So now you're here. This is actually different in the A.I.R layout. So we're in the A.I.R layout of the game right now, which I mentioned in the first episode, is optimal for Knuckles and Tails and Solo Knuckles. This is one of the reasons why in OG, so in the vanilla layout, you've got 3 barrels here that you have to wait to move before you can get through. Here you've just got 1. It's super easy. So you wait for this barrel to move, you spin dash through, and then when you get to the end, you're going to drop down. Hold right, because if you don't hold right, you'll land on spikes. But if you hold right, you just move ever so slightly away from them, so... Just like that. Now, this section, you've got 2 options. You can take the slower route, which is you just go straight up, and you climb up the wall to get to the boss room. Or you can do the super bounce off the bat. Now, the super bounce off the bat is slightly trickier, but it's slightly faster. So what you're going to want to do is instead of jumping straight through the bat onto the barrel, you want to let the bat come down and you want to glide over him. Then you're going to jump up on the side and then up onto the moving platform. And then there's a couple of setups. I've seen like Flying Fox just waits on that platform and then jumps off onto the bat. That works. I've seen Hearty jumps onto the wall on the left and goes up, like does 1 regrab and then jumps off. Or I think it's 1 or 2 regrabs. I'll remember when the muscle memory kicks in. But basically those are the 2 options. So let's show you the super glide one. So up here, 1, 2, and super glide off the enemy to get up here. Obviously you can see the route there, if you don't get the super glide, is to just climb up the left side, glide across and climb up the right side. And then you're going to spin dash through here, jump into the ceiling to get into a running animation, and then we're at the boss. So, this boss... I have a method of doing it. Everyone seems to have a method of doing it. This is just what I do. I go right over to the left, and then I wait at the boss's feet, and then as soon as the spinning top starts moving away from the boss, I glide into it. Then after that, I kind of have a timing that I try and do. I can't really explain it very much, just I'll try and do the boss optimally and then you can see, but there's a chance I won't, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, this boss is just kind of awful, but if you can get a good timing for it, then you can get it done relatively quickly. So yeah, boss is going to spin up, he's going to shoot, glide into him straight away, bum bum, bum bum, bum bum. And that's just how I do the boss usually. There might be more optimal ways, but that's the most consistent thing I can get in a run. Now here, you'll notice that I'm holding down. That's because if you are looking down when you hit the floor, the signpost spawns spawns lower down and hits the ground sooner. So it's a tiny little time save, but this works for all characters as well. So it's a very handy technique to add in. There we go, signpost is there. And that's going to be the end of Act 1. So let's just try and put all of that together. Oh, actually, before we do, I'll try and show you the A.I.R strat I talked about earlier. So, if you glide into this tube and release the glide in it, you'll land in this animation, which means you can spin dash immediately, and then go into the spring like that. That's surprisingly tough. I wouldn't count on doing that in a full game run, because if you mess it up, you end up losing time over the normal method. It saves like half a second, so you know, A.I.Rs, go for it. Normal runs, I would just hold right and jump into the tube. So, here we go, down the thing. Tap left. Up here. Was going a bit too far to the right there, so didn't get down. I'll take the easy route to show that off. Spring off that guy. Hold right, let the bat come down, glide over. Okay, I missed the super glide, so now we can see what you do normally, which is... Okay, Okay, Tails is messing me up, but yeah, you just re-grab off of those. And then you get to the boss room. Okay, that was a bit late. I don't know if this will still work. Worked perfectly. Amazing, and then straight down here, hold down, and wait for the signpost to come down. A quick sip. Good moment to hydrate in a run. And there we go. So, that was Act 1. Easy peasy.